Hello, everybody, and welcome into the SFA Season 20 College Football Playoff Committee meeting. Today is the day. We've got a big one on you, the 2014 playoffs. So this is a new format, so a new way that we pick teams. No longer are we just going to rank 1 through 25. We're more so focused on getting some tiers situated, and then we're going to more of a NCAA bracket style seeding. So we're going to seed the top 8 teams. Those are the teams that get their buys, and then we will decide who the next tier 2 team is. Those are the first round home games, and then of course the last 8 teams in. That's where the bubble really comes into play. The committee will also decide the Citrus Bowl matchup. And then from there, the rest will be decided by resume rank and user status for bowl games. I'll do that on my own with Rick later today or tomorrow. So welcome in. We got a lot of people here in the committee meeting. I'm waiting on Rick to sort his sheet here by resume rank. It's not quite in order, but nevertheless, we should be able to get started. Does anyone have a question on the rules and what we're doing? I don't think so. Okay. So anybody have any sort of a gripe with me putting Florida State first?
No issues here.
Okay. Now, should we just go 1 through 8, or do we want to go through the auto bids and put them in their tiers? Because we have 11 teams that we know are making the field.
Honestly, if we want to start with the auto bids, I think that would probably be best, because I think even if when we start doing the 1 through 8s, that's where we're going to need to make the big decisions, and I'd rather kind of push those towards the end.
Okay. Yeah, because 1 through 8 is the only one where we have to figure out our actual rankings. We can just figure out who deserves a tier 2 or a tier 3 list. Now, some teams at the top here, obviously Nebraska won the Big Ten championship, so they should be in tier 1, probably at the number 2 seed. I think the only other argument for number 2 would probably be Illinois, but they, of course, didn't make the Big Ten championship, so I don't think that they should get a top 2 seed over the Big Ten champion, who I think beat them.
Yes, they beat us.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any gripe for Illinois going down a spot or 2. Okay, so those are the 2 best champs. Now, where do we put... I think the next champ that probably is firmly in the top 8 is Fresno with the 1 loss. You guys agree, or...
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
yeah. One loss is 1 loss.
And they are the, if I look here on this sheet, the 7th ranked resume technically in Rick's ranking. So they have 1 tier 4 loss, a bad loss, but they've dominated everybody else. So I'm not going to rank them yet, but I know they're there. Okay, now... maybe we should, because Arkansas is kind of on the edge. Texas Tech probably is in tier 1, but not quite sure. Stanford, probably not. Pitt, probably.
Stanford 2.
Yeah, maybe let's just do the top 8, because I'm afraid we're going to leave somebody out, and then we're going to be stuck running around here. So... at number 3, I have, of course, Rick Sheet up, but I can flash the game if we need to. Oh, maybe I can't. My guy's got a fatal error, so we might be cooked on that one. Hold on, while I restart this. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have to just watch the window here. Of course. Of course my game crashes. Well, at least it didn't crash during a game today. We'll take that. All right, it's going to get loud here for a second. Sorry. Okay, so where do we go next? Do we go, is Fresno number 3? Or do we go like Illinois 3, Notre Dame 3?
I would go Illinois 3.
Yeah, not a lot of 2-loss at-large teams, really. A lot of 3-loss.
We already have Nebraska at 2. Illinois' 1 loss was to Nebraska. So who else did they lose to?
Iowa.
They lost to Iowa. That's not a bad loss either.
Come on, man. Do I really have to... Did I lose my window capture? What is happening? Oh my god, I got another crash. Okay, we might not be able to use the RPCS3 today for that. We'll just have to stick on resume ranking. And then we'll have to just go via the schedules in the server. Okay. So, Illinois 3. But, I mean, some of these top teams haven't been great in the Tier 1. Now, an interesting look here is Texas State doesn't even have a Tier 1 win. Yeah, Arkansas does have head-to-head wins over Stanford and Texas Tech. How high does Notre Dame go? Really crappy that I can't go into my game right now. What the heck? Okay. I might have to use my phone.
Yeah, I'm not fully sure where Notre Dame goes. Fresno State is 2 Tier 1 wins, but they have that 1 Tier 4 loss that...
Here, I have this is what we'll do.
Really
We'll just go scoregami sheet here, because I can pull up everything from scoregami. So we'll just go season 20 here. Love this sheet. So they lost to Army. They lost to Kent State. They have wins over Syracuse, USC. Pitt was the big one. Okay, so we should probably honor Notre Dame over Pitt, I'd imagine, because I feel like we're putting Notre Dame
100%.
in the top 8, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we go Notre Dame here at 4? So Notre Dame is the number 3 technical resume in the country. Their 2 losses are Tier 1 teams. They lost to Kent State, who's in the at-large hunt, and then also Army, who's the independent bid. Okay. Let's probably just pencil them in at 4. Okay. So we have 4 more first-round buys. I think one definitely goes to Pittsburgh. I don't think Ohio State deserves a first-round bye, even though they have a strong resume. I mean, 3 losses. I'm not going to make like a rule about it, but like I feel like 3 losses shouldn't get you a bye.
Yeah.
So Florida State, Illinois, Notre Dame, Nebraska to Pittsburgh. I think we go Fresno over Pittsburgh, even though it looks like the resume might be a little better. Fresno State got it done.
I just think you have to respect the 1 loss. So I go Fresno at 5.
Okay, and then Pitt at 6 probably. So 7 and 8. We have 2 more bye spots. In terms of independence, let's look at where Army ranks, because Army's an interesting cat. Not the best record. Let's see what their actual schedule was. So they lost to Eastern Michigan and they lost to Illinois. That was a brilliant 7-6 game. Scorigami, by the way. Other than that, the only other big win is over Notre Dame, who did have a backup quarterback. I don't think that's enough. They don't have any real signature win. I think Army probably gets a first round bowl game or a first round home game, but I don't know if they get a bye. Texas Tech, let's look at their schedule. And I'd like to more so lean on the side of honoring the conference championships. Lost to Arkansas. Arkansas splattered them. Lost to OK State. Beat Texas. And then, where's Arkansas? The question is, do the bad losses for Arkansas drop them below Texas Tech? They splattered them, but is that enough? I know Arkansas will be above Stanford, obviously. I know you can't answer pizza. It was triple OT, though. The Vanderbilt lost pretty bad. They beat Alabama. They beat Tennessee. I think for buys, you probably go... Or do you go Eastern Michigan for a buy? Eastern Michigan, number 8 ranked. What's their resume? 11-2. You got Fresno, beat them. They beat Army. Terrible loss to Western Michigan. They did beat Ohio and Kent State. They beat Ohio twice. I mean, Eastern Michigan beat Kent State when Arkansas couldn't. I feel like that's where something. Arkansas way down here on the resume. 20th ranked resume. Does anybody else have an opinion here? I think maybe we sneak Eastern Michigan a bye there. So I'm leaning Texas Tech and Eastern Michigan getting the buys. And then Army, or not Army, probably Arkansas and Army probably in tier 2. So I'm putting tentatively Texas Tech at 7 and EMU at 8. So if we go with that case, okay. And now the rest of our champs. So now, if we're okay with these, top 8, I have Florida State, Nebraska, Illinois, Notre Dame, Fresno State, Pitt, Texas Tech, and EMU. Now we just decide tiers. So I think for Arkansas, Stanford, and Army, they should obviously host a first round game. I think that's pretty fair. Now, in terms of the actual seeding, it's more going to depend just on matchup based instead of like a ranking system. So we're not ranking them. We're just giving them a first round home game here. Yeah, Stanford is a really good team. So I think we honor those. Now, for Arkansas State and FAU, they are way down here. Of course, they were bid stealers. They should definitely be in tier 3 going on the road. I think that's pretty apparent.
Yeah, I think FAU will probably be 24 but again, obviously, seedings will change.
Yeah, and we're going to try, so basically we're going to go by resume rank for the actual seedings and then just make slight changes. So FAU will be either like 23 or 24. Okay, so now we got to decide who gets the final home games in the first round. There's 5 spots. So we did Ohio State still out here. If we want to see their schedule, we can. We got these 4 teams. NC State's ranked pretty high. Remember, Poppy Showtime, I believe, is dead for the year. Boise State, Southern Miss, Syracuse, Iowa, Tennessee, not sure where they fall. Penn State, I don't think we give them a bye, but do we give them a home game? I think probably. And then these are kind of where the bubble lays. So, anybody have...
I think I definitely would give Boise State a home game. With the season they've had, I think they deserve it.
Yeah, let's just make sure where that other loss was. I think it was just to Stanford. No, they lost to Texas A&M by 1 million, but they destroyed Stanford, who's in the CFP. Took care of business elsewhere. Yeah, I think Boise is kind of fair. Now, if we're doing... I mean, this is kind of the same thing, isn't it? Let's see what Southern Miss looks like. They did lose to Ohio. Do they have any other win to bank their hat on? Prove that they were worthy? Not really. They did beat Arkansas State, who's in the playoff 41-0. I don't know if that matters. Is that good enough to get them in the playoff is the question. I think they're more so on the bubble than getting a home game. But yeah, I think Penn State and Boise deserve home games here. 3 spots left. I mean, let's look at Ohio State, NC State, and I think Georgia Tech, of course. Tennessee in here. So yeah, let's go through some of these teams. So Ohio State, they lost to Florida State. They did beat Washington. That's quality. Purdue and Wisconsin technically are quality wins. Lost to Illinois, beat Iowa, lost to Penn State, beat Michigan State, and beat NC State. So they should be above NC State. Let's see what NC State's looking like. NC State holds the best win in the country. They beat Florida State. So that probably has to count for something. They also took care of North Carolina. Lost to Georgia Tech and lost to East Carolina. East Carolina lost pretty bad. Lost to Ohio State, but they did take care of Miami. That might get them into the field here. But does that get a first-round game? I'm not sure. Who else?
I don't think it's a home game for NC State. Just out when Poppy Showtime went out for the season, they just have not looked the same.
I think that's a fair assessment. Okay, let's look at Tennessee now and Georgia Tech. Tennessee was looking at a bye until they choked. So lost to Michigan State, lost to Stanford, beat A&M, beat Florida. They did beat Alabama, beat Auburn. So good wins here. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Texas State lost to Iowa. Beat NC State, beat Miami, lost to Maryland. The Maryland lost pretty bad. Can't fault them for Florida State. Did beat Georgia. Okay, who else are we looking at here? The rest of these teams are kind of on the bubble. See what Syracuse is rocking this year. Because I know they were on the bubble. I don't know if that gets them home game. So they beat or lost to Notre Dame. Don't really have any big wins. Louisville, and that's it. Louisville and Buffalo are their best wins. That's not good enough for a home game. So we have 3 spots left. I think you give them to Ohio State. I think you give one to Tennessee. And I think you give one to Georgia Tech. Only other team here I would probably want to consider is, do we give Kent State the benefit of the doubt here, even though they lost some poor games? They did beat Notre Dame. They beat Arkansas, Alabama, but lost to Miami, Ohio, who has 9 wins. Lost to Eastern Michigan, lost to Ohio. I don't know if that's enough to get a first round bye or home game. Iowa has 4 losses. I don't think a 4-loss team should get it here unless they win their conference like Stanford did. Oklahoma State. Let's look at Oklahoma State. They beat Iowa State, beat Texas Tech in a splatter, beat A&M, lost to Colorado, lost to Baylor, lost to Texas. Okay, resume there. Okay. Are you guys good with Georgia Tech, Tennessee, and Ohio State getting home games?
I don't think I'm against it.
Okay, at least for now. Let me see what chat is doing. No, two of those one score affairs. Definitely Boise, number 2 offense. Kent State over Tennessee for a first round home game. Let's take a look back at that here.
An SEC schedule versus a G5 schedule? No thanks. No
well,
thanks.
okay, but not all conferences
No,
are created equal here. A win
You're
over
right,
Notre
and
Dame.
that's
One of those teams beat
you're
Arkansas.
talking about. Yeah, they lost like a 9 or 10 win team, but this is a 9 or 10 win team in a terrible conference besides Kent State.
Yeah, I mean Kent State
won 2 games in the SEC. They beat Arkansas and they beat Alabama.
Kent State 3
and
losses.
then they went and lost to their. They won prove-it games and lost easy games. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, Miami, Ohio's a 9-win team. Eastern Michigan's an 11-win team, and Ohio's an 8-win team. Ohio's decently good historically. Win over our number 4 team, and then another 2 playoff teams. Just comparing them to Tennessee here. Tennessee has a win over Florida, which 8-win team. Win over Alabama, 7-win team. Georgia's a 6-win team. Auburn's a 9-win team. And they lost Arkansas. So, I mean, Kent State has the better wins. And Michigan State's 7 wins. Stanford's 9 wins. And Arkansas is 9 wins. Or 10 wins. So, pretty similar resumes.
I don't think either answer is wrong, but
Yeah.
I just disagree with Kent State getting a home game in the playoffs over Tennessee. That's just what I disagree with.
I think we should probably stick with Tennessee keeping it. It was just the 1 game injury, so unless he's questionable forever, he'll be back. I think Tennessee probably deserves it more just because Kent State had the world in front of them and they choked. So I think for them, I think we can pencil them in as in the playoff for Kent State, but yeah, probably not rewarding them with a home game. Okay, so as of right now, Tier 2 looks like this. In the seeding will be decided later, but Army, Arkansas, Stanford, Penn State, Boise, Ohio State, Georgia Tech, and Tennessee all get home games. And then Tier 3, we have 5 spots left in the playoff. We have FAU, Arkansas State, and Kent State in on the road. Who should join them is the question. So, just in terms of resume rank here, the next highest team would be NC State, but they do have a quarterback injury. Southern Miss is here, Syracuse, Iowa, and then Oklahoma State. Texas State's in here. Auburn is on the bubble here. Florida. Buffalo. I mean, not the best. Should we put Wisconsin in? I think we should put Wisconsin in. I don't think the bubble is all that bad here for us. I think it's a pretty easy kind of slate. Let's just go through. NC State has the best win. Southern Miss, we already checked. Syracuse, we already checked. Syracuse and Southern Miss have really similar resumes. They lost to the only good teams they played, and then they beat all the shitters. But then Southern Miss choked to FAU. Let's look at Iowa's, because they're an 8-win team, but they have some of the best wins in the country. Do they sneak in here? They beat Georgia Tech, who's a playoff team. They lost to Purdue in OT. They beat Iowa State. Lost to Indiana, 2 bad losses. Lost to Ohio State, but then they beat Illinois. and then lost to Nebraska, beat Minnesota, and beat Maryland. I don't know if that's a playoff. They beat two playoff caliber teams. Our number 3 team and then our tier 2 team. I don't know if that gets you into the playoff here. Let's look at we already looked at Oklahoma State. They had some good wins, some weird losses against mid teams. I don't think Ohio gets in 4 losses. All right, let's look at Texas State. Texas State is one of those bubble teams here. Beat Washington, lost to Georgia Tech, beat Arkansas State, split with Arkansas State, and then a weird loss to Tulane, and they didn't beat anybody else of note. Best win is against an 8-5 team. I don't know about them. Let's look at Auburn. Beat Maryland. See, Maryland is their best win. Maryland and Georgia, they didn't beat anybody. Now, they did go to OT with Tennessee. Did lose by Auburn, what are you doing? Yeah, for me, what I'm looking at is all of these teams have good records, but they haven't beaten anybody of, like, note. So I think NC State is firmly in because they have the best win in the country over Florida State. I think they deserve to be in. Now we kind of just got to go. Do we reward Southern Miss and Syracuse for not playing anybody or not beating the teams? Do we reward Iowa, who did beat 2 really good teams? OK State has a big win over Texas Tech.
Can we actually compare Iowa to those two, to Southern Miss?
Yeah, we went through it, but so Iowa has 2 really bad losses, Purdue and Indiana, both 6 and 7 win teams, so not like egregious. They lost to Ohio State and Nebraska, which is fine. Illinois, their 2 big wins is Illinois and Georgia Tech, so 2 teams already in the field. And then for Southern Miss here, best team they played was Ohio. They lost to them by 2 scores, splattered everybody else, didn't really play anybody else. Arkansas State is in the playoff. They beat them 41-0, the Conference USA champ, but then they lost to Florida Atlantic. And then for Syracuse, similar to Southern Miss, their best win is over Louisville, who's 8 wins. They didn't beat anybody else of note. Lost to Notre Dame, lost to Pitt, and then their next best win was 9-win Buffalo.
Might be a hot take, but I like Iowa over all of them.
Now, I mean, if you look at the resume, of course it's all close, but 2-2 versus Tier 1, 1-1, 3-1, 2-2. So they played a really tough out-of-conference schedule. 82-52 is their total schedule. Southern Miss 78-69, but G5s. Syracuse 70-64. And neither of these 2 teams has even a Tier 1 win. They're 0-2 versus Tier 1. Southern Miss is 3-2, 1-0 for Syracuse. Syracuse just taking care of business against everybody else. For Southern Miss, they just...
I like the idea of who you playing actually mattering for seeding. Like, I get records and everything, but we're not talking about undefeated teams.
Well, so we have 4 spots, so we're not really talking about seeding. More so, do these teams deserve to be in? Other teams that we're even comparing, I think really we're down to 6 teams for 4 spots. We have Southern Miss, Syracuse, Iowa, and then Oklahoma State and Texas State and Auburn. So 6 teams for 4 spots. Do we want to look at Florida, see what they did this year? They're 8-4.
I feel like they dropped too many.
Yeah. I mean, they lost to Iowa State, Illinois. They lost to Tennessee. Their best win... See, unlike Iowa, they don't have any good wins. Their best win is 9-win Auburn and 7-win Miami.
No, I don't like that.
And then the problem for Auburn here is their best win is Maryland and Georgia. They lost to Tennessee, lost to Florida, lost to Alabama, beat LSU, Kentucky, Southern Miss, Ole Miss, Duke, UCLA, and Louisiana. I think Auburn's out.
Where does Auburn's SOS rank in the country?
Auburn 61 and 72. Not very good.
God.
Not very good at all. Texas State's is way better than theirs. But the problem for Texas State, man, they lost to Tulane and then, of course, lost to Arkansas State. Split with them at least. Let me just look at Ohio's because they're unusually high up there. Do they deserve a shout? They beat Southern Miss, lost to Minnesota, lost San Jose State. They're out. San Jose State won one game. They lost to Eastern Michigan twice. They did beat Kent State. So I see they beat two teams that are projected to be in the playoff, but 4 losses at G5 I feel like is pretty cutthroat. And then Oklahoma State. So they beat Texas Tech, beat Iowa State, beat Texas A&M. So they did have a one big win. Bad loss to Baylor, bad loss to Colorado. Okay, so I think we can safely say Army is out. So I think it comes down to 5 teams. Southern Miss, Syracuse, Iowa, Oklahoma State, and Texas State. I think probably it's going to come down to Texas State versus Oklahoma State for the last spot. Does anybody have any big thoughts on it? I think we put in Southern Miss. I'd
personally say OK State over Texas State.
I mean, I would too, just because Texas. I don't know. Dude, I feel like when you're a G5, dude, after 2 losses, you're just kind of asking for mercy at that point.
Yeah, let's just compare one more time. Oklahoma, I mean, they have a big win over Texas Tech. Texas State's their best win is against Washington. They lost to Georgia Tech, fine. Tulane, they got splattered, and then they split with Arkansas State. So
the Tulane game just bothers me. I don't know why. Like, I love this Texas State team. That Tulane game it sits with me really heavy.
Yeah. So okay, last team, quote unquote, in here is going to be Oklahoma State then. Okay. Okay, so now the Citrus matchup. So the next 2 best. So now we don't have to go with just Auburn, Texas State because we thought that they'd be in. We want the 2 best remaining teams in terms of resume. So next best on here that aren't in is going to be Ohio, Texas State, Auburn, Michigan State, Florida. You also have North Carolina in here. I don't know if North Carolina gets up in there. Has to be 2 users, of course. North Carolina's problem here is North State. That's not a... So North Carolina's problem is they didn't beat anybody. Beat Baylor, beat Iowa State. Those are their best wins, I believe. Lost to Indiana. Yeah, they didn't beat anybody. They got splattered. I think North Carolina's not even in the Citrus, to be honest. Now let's just look at Michigan State. Lost to Purdue. That's a tough loss. They did beat Nebraska, and they beat Tennessee. So interesting case here for Michigan State. Tough for Texas State after Florida beat Auburn. Yeah, they split with FAU. Who are Florida's losses? Okay, I'm just catching up. Yeah, they have the head-to-head. If you're looking at Florida versus Auburn, it's not close. Florida by far. I agree. Florida clears Auburn. Auburn didn't win any games they needed to. Florida and Texas State is what you guys are thinking the Citrus should be?
I agree with that.
Okay, Michigan State. Let's see. Only other team I would think has even a sniff chance is Ohio. Let's just look at them one more time. They beat Southern Miss, who's in. They beat... That San Jose State loss is so bad. They did lose to Eastern Michigan twice, but they did beat Kent State. I just think, like, Texas State, sure, they didn't do what they were supposed to, but I think San Jose State's loss is bad enough where you put Texas State over Ohio for that reason.
Yeah, San Jose was a 1-win team, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can check what San Jose State did. I think they might have won one more. 4-8. Okay, so that win really sent them on a path here of destruction. But none of these teams are any good. 45-0, Eastern Michigan thumped them. Yeah, I don't think they got beat by 3 scores. Okay. So Citrus Bowl we have is Florida versus Texas State. Okay. So let's just go right through it one more time just to make sure nobody has any gripes, and then I got to get with Rick to figure out the actual seeding here. But Tier 1, these are the actual seed ranks. Florida State, Nebraska, Illinois, Notre Dame, Fresno State, Pittsburgh, Texas Tech, and Eastern Michigan. Tier 2, these are home games, not in any particular order. Army, Arkansas, Stanford, Penn State, Boise State, Ohio State, Georgia Tech, Tennessee. And then Tier 3 on the road is FAU, Arkansas State, Kent State, NC State, Southern Miss, Syracuse, Iowa, and Oklahoma State. All right. And then Citrus is Florida versus Texas State. I think that concludes our committee meeting this year. Had some technical difficulties, but we got it done. All right, so I'm gonna get with Rick, and then we'll release the bracket. Of course, nobody leak anything, of course, and yeah, and we'll be back here in a little bit.